We're back.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We are in the heart of hunting season. We got a lot of videos that we are making right now, obviously hunting, but we have the special new toy that we're not allowed to show you guys yet. So we got a lot of hunting videos that will be coming. We'll be doing some fun videos in the meantime that we can pass along to you guys. But today we're going to do the 5 things that you can do right now to make sure that you don't miss a deer and that it's not your equipment's fault. Do a couple little checklist things. I know we're all like getting out in the stand. It's still super hot out here in the Midwest, but we're out, we're hunting, we're getting things going through the motions, and really things that you should check on kind of throughout the whole season. A couple things you should do throughout the whole season to make sure that, you know, when you do get your one shot or your, you know, couple opportunities throughout the year, that you are dialed in and you're good. However, our bow giveaway for the month of September is now over. It has concluded for the lift, the custom Cerakoted lift. We're going to be sending this to one of you bad boys or girls upcoming very soon. A lot of questions also about lefties. If whoever we select is a lefty, we will get them a lefty version of this. It just might take a little bit more because a little more time because we only have this one made up right now. So if you are a lefty, 100%, you're gonna be fine. But we'll have to get a lefty, Cerakote it, send it off, yada yada yada, that sort of deal. So what we're gonna do is we have this here. Come over on this side over here. We have this random selector tool, and we have all of our order numbers from the month of September. There's a pile of them. You guys absolutely made us work overtime to deal with this. But what we're going to do, we literally press this button, and then we're going to go over to our website, find who it is, and then we'll go from there. Okay, random name. No internet. Oh, that's lame. Hold on. It's kind of anticlimactic. All right. Do you want to join? Yes, I want to join. Game over. Do you guys know this was a thing?
No.
Really? You can, while you don't have internet, it's like this little game, and you can just press the space bar. You jump over cactuses while you're waiting. My high score is 729. You didn't know this? Yeah, you just press the space bar. We used to intentionally in school get off of the Wi-Fi just to see who could get a high score. I think you can slide, maybe. Hold on, now I'm committed. I'm gonna beat my high score. Oh wow, whoa, that threw me off. Gosh dang it. 744, what's that high score? Or did I literally tie it? Oh, I think I tied my high score.
729.
Oh, I did get a high score then. Yeah. Let's go. Okay, there we go. We're back live. We got everyone's inputtedness right here. Yep, good. Okay. Pick a random name. We have order number 21300. So what we're going to do, we're going to now go over and we'll find your exact order that you did, 21300. Order number 21300 is Caleb House. Caleb bought orange heat vanes, orange X3 vanes, and simple wraps. And because of that, you're going to be getting this brand new Lift Custom Cerakote with UV1Ks, the B-Real UV1Ks. This is going to be fully rigged out, sliders, stabilizers, all that jazz. But we are going to send that directly to you, brand spanking new. So congratulations. Thank you so much to everyone who had some fun with this giveaway, bought something off of B-Real Custom to enter to win. This is not the last one we will do. We love these. I know that we get a ton of customer support that you guys are loving this, wondering when we're going to give it away. And it's 100% random like we just did. So one of you lucky guys will hopefully win the next one. Caleb House from Jasper, Arkansas. We'll be reaching out very soon. over email to get the instructions to send this bad boy over. Okay, now let's get into the video. Giveaway bow, we'll put it right here for right now. Stare at it, admire it. But what we're gonna do is just a couple things that I like to check, especially it's like, okay, we're gonna load the quiver full of arrows, we're going hunting, like making sure that our bows are good. And it might be a couple simple things, but I always think that they're simple to me. There's things I do all the time that, just people don't do or whatever. The number one thing, which is kind of funny, it seems so simple, but no matter what arrows you have, no matter what veins, no matter what glue, I don't care who you are, what you do, there is always the possibility that your veins peel up or the edge of them peel up. And unless you shoot them and notice a loud noise, or unless you visually see them, there's really no way that you can see them until something bad happens. So it's a target archery thing too. Always used to do, because it's like you're shooting, outdoor 50 meters and you're blasting arrows, like shooting groups, and you're smashing fletchings. You always want to check your fletching. So what I do is it's kind of a technique. So you hold it just like this. You run your thumb all the way down on one side. You roll it all the way down, all the way down. And what you're looking for is little bubbles or anything, any sort of vein peeling up right here at the seam. And you would see something like right along this inner seam, which not seeing any on this. So we checked one side. Now we're going to switch over. We'll do that same thing again. We'll just run it just like that. And you can very quickly just see, okay, is the vein popping up anywhere? Because if there's any sort of little air bubble, any sort of anything, and then you go hunting and get a little bit of rain in there, and let's say it freezes, it expands, and then it just starts, if any little air pocket or anything on the edge of the vein, and I'm curious, I'm going to see if I can find one real quick. Get some of these old jokers. Oh, I found one at Caitlin. She's not going to like this. Oh, some arrows, I don't know who fletched them, but right here, right there, can you see that decent? This is a bloody one. She must have shot a deer with it. But you can see there's a little air pocket right there. Oh, see that right there? That's bad. However, resting, you can't tell. It looks totally fine. But then you just barely, you press it and you check your fletchings. Even this one, that one's got one right there. Every single one of these, that one's got one right there. I'm guessing that probably some of this is maybe because she shot a deer. However, yeah, and then look at that. You rip that out and it pulls right off. So that's a thing that you guys really got to check, because if a tail end or something's loose and you load it in your quiver and you just go to knock it, you're not really shooting it, you're not really looking at it or checking it. But then the moment of truth comes and you shoot and you got a loose fletching and it spirals and is bad. That's a bad deal. So it's always good. I don't care if you have 1Ks. I don't care what arrows you have. You always have to check, because you're shooting arrows, you're putting them in weather. It's like things happen, blems happen, defects happen, regardless if you fletched it or someone else fletched it. You always have to check for air bubbles, check for peeling, all that jazz, because it catches wind and it can cause a bad deal. So that's number one, little maintenance tip. Check, especially like your quiver loaded with arrows. So that goes into my next thing. I have my quiver right here loaded with arrows, and if you're shooting really any sort of broadhead, but especially mechanicals, you have a collar system. So the biggest fail on mechanicals is always the collar system. So for example, on these dead meats, which these are my preferred collar out of any of them, because it's just based off of friction. But there have been times when I have loaded my quiver with them looking like they're snapped in, but they're not really snapped in. So what I do whenever I put on a broadhead, especially on a dead meat or a mega meat, is use a countertop, and you can hear that just snapped in. But you apply just pressure, just enough to make sure that every single blade is pushed in. And visually, if you look at it, you're like, oh, you're good. But you can just barely maybe have it slightly out. So I like to apply pressure on every single blade, shove it in the quiver. Next one, every single blade, shove it in the quiver. And then the next thing is, like, let's say it's in the dark, tree stand at night, and maybe get a top-down view of this. Tree stand at night, and it's like, that's how you're supposed to put it in, but oh no, let's say I push down extra hard here, and I pop a blade out. So then next time, when I go to pull it out, maybe it just popped out just a tiny little bit, and you can't really see it, and you go to knock your arrow, and then you go to shoot, and wham, that blade goes flying out when you're shooting. Bad deal. So always, even when I pulled my arrow out, getting in the stand, just visually checking, in the stand, just be like, okay, all the blades are good, knock. But every now and again, especially when you're loading your quiver, for some freshy broadheads, put pressure on every single blade, because even if it looks okay, you just got to double check. Same goes for a Rage, same goes for any sort of collar. A Rage, I know you got to make sure it's tightened down, but those have like the flippy wings that crack off, and sometimes one's like kind of barely open and you don't really notice it. So I know for all the mechanical guys, which is most of you, just check on that. It's the collars, unfortunately, are always the linchpin on blades opening. So just make sure that you got them good, and if you got to swap them out, there's do we sell replaceable ones? Collars? No, but an extra couple collars come in your broadhead packs. It's not a bad idea to, maybe if you got one loose or weird or whatever, you swap it out. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Yeah, I mean, even like this Grim Reaper, it's all like, I think magnet based or whatever. If it's closed like this, all it takes is for one to just kind of get hung up just a little bit. Maybe you got some dirt in it or whatever. So it's just being aware that making sure everything is closed, everything is good for the shot. Your fletchings along with your broadhead collars. And this made me just think of another one. You guys are getting some bonus tips here as I'm just kind of flying around thinking. Lighted nocks. We love lighted nocks because we can see them. However, compared to like this factory level nock, which is a UV1K nock, very good nock. It's a short throat. So what I mean by short throat is the distance from the edge of the carbon to the throat is super short. So it's not going to bend. It's not going to bend outside of center. There's, a couple of nocks, sometimes more of like a target style nock. Let me see if I can grab one and find one for a comparison. Yeah, like these nocks, from the edge of the bushing to the throat of the nock is super long. So you have all of this plastic material right here that potentially could bend. All it takes is a drop on the ground or whatever else for this plastic material just to slightly bend. So this is a target one. It's a little bit different. We can monitor these more and swap them out pretty much every tournament. But a nock like this, that's a short-throated nock. There's not a lot of stuff that can happen, not a lot that can bend. It's really good. However, nice. When we introduce lighted nocks, look at this distance between the edge all the way to the throat. We now have a big distance here. So what that, and this isn't like this lighted nock company's fault, it's just how lighted nocks work, because it's a mechanical mechanism in there that needs room. There's a big distance here. There's a big distance that can get bent, that can throw off your tune, throw off your shot, and sometimes could even be dangerous if it is bent so much and then you go to shoot and it cracks the nock off and then flies all wonky or whatever. So a good way to check that is to get a super cheap arrow spinner like this. This was very cheap and I should upgrade it. But you put the arrow spinner on and you spin it and you watch the nock. You watch it to see if there's any oscillations. If anything is off on it, like this one looks pretty straight, I don't see anything. But if it was a bad nock, it would go like spin like crazy. And then all right, I gotta swap them out. So with that being said, I do not like practicing with lighted nocks as my final hunting arrows, because you never know when you accidentally are going to bump the edge of a lighted nock, throw it off, bend it, whatever else. I like to do new, fresh lighted nocks every hunting season to fill my quiver, because lighted nocks in general, I don't care if they're halo, nocturnal, whatever. Halos I feel like are a little bit better, especially with the smaller millimeters, but it's just not as strong as, the UV nock or any sort of nock that's, built for precision and durability and all this other jazz. Of course, you're still going to break them if you smack them with an arrow, but it's the little bumps. It's like, bouncing them off the ground, rubbing your bow with your full arrow of quivers along a tree branch or something like that. So I recommend pay attention to your leaded nocks. There's, three sensitive things on arrows: broadhead collars, the fletchings, coming up, or air bubbles, and then your leaded nocks getting bent. So a couple things there. Next, we're going to kind of bump over to the bow, things that you need to pay attention to before season and stuff that could maybe creep up on you and you don't really realize it. First thing is peep rotation. I feel like that's always a thing. If someone brings a bow and it's like, my peep's crooked, it's like, okay, it's like not that big of a deal because, they've, been doing this game, been twisting it every single time, and it kind of got down in a rhythm. You twist it, draw back, shoot, twist it, draw back, shoot. However, when you're in the moment, you don't want to have to really worry about that. So making sure that your peep sight is perfectly straight, take it to a pro shop. If you got a home bow press, or even if you have the cable system from Mathews, where you can actually bow press your bow at home, that's a very easy thing that you can do. You can put one little half twist in it. You can even manipulate, push your D-loop over, take a pair of pliers, open it back up to tighten it back down, just to get your peep sight rotated in the exact middle. Because you forget, adrenaline's flowing, you pull back and you get a full draw, you look through your peep and it is like hard to see through because it's crooked and you forgot to spin it. Not a fun thing. So take a little bit of extra time, make sure you get your peep sight perfect, especially if you just got a new bow this summer or a new bow recently. Bows take time to settle in. They need a little break-in period. They need a few hundred arrows through them. I do not care what string manufacturer you have. I do not care what bow you have. They take time. Things settle in, strings stretch a little bit. Even this, so this is a very flow yellow neon string. If you have neon orange, neon green, any sort of neon material of strings, there's actually, color material that is in these strings that eventually kind of slowly work out, especially during the first few shots. They settle. If you ever get a brand new of strings and you like rub it with your fingers and look at your fingers, they would be yellow or orange or green or whatever it is. That material takes a little bit to kind of work in and work out and shoot. So it's not necessarily that the strings stretch. It's just that there's junk in there to make them a pretty color because we don't like the basic normal things. We like fancy colors and bright colors and all that jazz. So things settle, especially if you get a new bow. You have to maybe twist your peep a little bit to get it back going. Still on the bow thing, rests. If you have a drop away rest, it is something that can maybe sneak up on you. If you at any time change your poundage, change your draw length, if your string's stretched, if anything drastic like that happened or that you did and you didn't recalibrate to make sure that your rest is at full standing, at full draw in the correct position, you may be experiencing some tuning issues. You may be experiencing some clearance issues. Your rest might not be dropping properly. If you change your draw length, if you change your poundage, you also have to make sure that your rest timing is back and in proper shape. So, what I mean by that, if you're confused by that, your rest should be standing at full upright on like the last 1.5 inch of draw length. So it's like, it's just getting up right there. So it's full, and then I come back another inch. So, for example, if you drop your draw length, so now you don't have the full draw cycle. So it's like you drop your draw length 1/2 inch, and you're at full draw, but your rest is not fully up anymore. That's a thing, something that you have to pay attention to. So this is an easy check. You can just, while you're shooting, just kind of feather, that last little bit before you dump in. Just make sure, okay, I got about 1 inch, 1.5 inches left. My rest is up at full standing. And then boom, you hit your full draw. It just adds a little extra tension so that when you shoot, your rest releases. So something that I've been guilty of, because you're checking around, you're changing things, and then you don't change back and double check your rest to make sure that it's fully upright. So check that. Another thing kind of with that, just of like things that sneak up on you, is timing, your cam timing, making sure that it's in sync. A couple things that if it's out of sync, it can kind of slowly creep out of it. If you change your poundage, if you change your draw length, if your strings stretch, you know, you can be slightly out of time of your cams. It can throw your tune off, and it can feel terrible to shoot. If you're like one day, it's just like, man, my bow is just like not feeling good. You know, it feels squishy. It doesn't feel poppy. Your timing could be off because it's very sensitive. So, you know, you can do the buddy test on this. You have, you know, it's like Andrew, for example, like, hey, look at my cams, and you draw back and you just kind of feather on that back wall. Have a buddy look at your top and bottom cams. I've done a million bow builds, but we know that this part of a Mathews swings around, touches this string. Same thing here, bada bing, bada boom, and you just kind of feather it, and your buddy's like, oh man, you know, your top cam is slamming in and hitting, and you still got a 1/4 inch on the bottom. Well, if you don't have a bow press at home, you could use Mathews' system to do it yourself. You twist up one side, and it's kind of trial and error. You just keep going back and forth, or you bring it into a pro shop. I know pro shops are probably stupid busy right now, but you could ask nicely and bring it in. But that's something that could sneak up on you. Pause.
We're overheating.
No way. I think all that's left is, I've kind of talked about this before too, but it's like, practice like you play. Wear your vinyl harness. Grab your release out of where you normally do. Range things how you normally range things. Like, use things how you're going to use them in the field beforehand, so you're used to it. It's more muscle memory than anything, because when you got adrenaline flowing, I mean, you don't think straight. So it's really good to use things how you're going to be using them in the hunting scenario. It's like button, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is kind of something I always do every couple days, especially while we're hunting. I just did it 2 days ago, is just to make sure the bow is on. You shoot through a bunch of different distances. So I'm going to take these arrows. I got a bunch of arrows. And it's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to build my endurance during this time. It's like, we're just going to shoot 10 arrows to make sure our tape's still on, we still feel good, and we feel confident, because confidence is always the biggest thing. Also, I guess I'll throw in another little nugget here. In this process also, you can shoot broadheads, you can shoot BMPs. I know people really love the BMPs, which are G5s, practice broadhead tips, which are supposed to be designed very similarly and act very similarly to a broadhead. This one is actually the Montech version. I like running the Montech version more so than the smaller, like this is the dead meat version. It's a little smaller. I like the Montech version because if you can shoot a fixed blade, you can shoot anything. So putting these on, making sure that they hit, you know, where you're aiming with your field tips on your marks is so important. You have to shoot your broadheads before going in the woods. Have to shoot your broadheads before going in the woods. Because if you're shooting a foot off and you don't realize it until you're hunting, it's a problem. You can also, on this dead meat, I super glued this one shut. So you're sacrificing a dead meat. However, I can shoot this one over and over and over and over and over again, and as long as it's straight, it's still fine. So super gluing a broadhead shut, shooting it also works. But what we're going to do, I'm just going to shoot through a bunch of ranges real quick just to see if we're on. So I have these Morel targets set up always pretty much throughout season, 20, 30, 40, then 56 in the back. So I can very easily, your light good, I can very easily 20, 30, 40, and then 56, shoot it a couple times. I feel confident, throw the bow in the truck, go ripping. I know, of course, like not everyone can go shoot in their backyard. So what's really great, if you got a garage, even in your apartment, if you got a target, just shoot it a couple times every few days throughout the season. I know I've been guilty of it before. You're hunting, you're working, you got life going on. You just keep your bow in the backseat of your truck. You go up in the tree stand, you come back down. You maybe haven't shot your bow in a month. It's like you get foreign to your bow. You don't realize it, but your muscles get back, you know, to not remembering what to do. Your mind gets back to remembering not what to do. So it's like you have to shoot throughout the season, even if it's just at 5 yards for 5 arrows every couple days. It makes a world of a difference, especially when adrenaline's flowing and all this stuff is going on. It's really good just to keep practicing and keep shooting throughout the season. So we got 20, 30, 40. We're just gonna shoot, see what we got. Just try to get impact over the shoulder.
You want me to put 35 on it now?
Maybe. We stepped inside due to cameraman request because it's so bright out. So we're going to shoot 21, 31, and 41 yards now. All right, here we go. Perfect. See that wind is just ripping out there. You can see it kick way to the right. 40 yards. Perfect. Love it when they sink in the dot. Look pretty money. Right in the right side of the dot, which makes sense because we got a left to right wind. And I love that, shooting at 40 yards right there. So I'm going to move back and dump the rest of these at 40 yards, 41 yards. Got it. Got it. Gosh. Can you see that on camera? It's fantastic. Let's see if I can hit that little one up at the top. Oh, like in the right side of the dot. So now, shot through this, confidence is through the roof. I know this bow is gonna like perform. It's so huge. Do that every couple days throughout hunting season. Make sure to, check up on your arrows, check up on your bow. Just a couple little things that, of course, if you don't know, you don't know. But a couple little things can go a long way and really mean a lot in the moment. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We'll keep shuffling things out, but we got to save those special hunting videos for when the new is out in November. So we've been holding on to those. And congrats to the giveaway winner, Caleb from Arkansas. Congrats, man. Thanks for supporting the channel and supporting the store, Bureau Custom. We got big plans this year, and we got more bow giveaways, more giveaways coming out through the .com store. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Good luck out there. Shoot ya a big one.